we go. This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
Why, yes, I am, Mr. Ravenlord. Thank you very much. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg Gizmozord Parker, and you are listening to Lords of the Storm, episode 117, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true Heroes of the Storm. I am joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multi-Zord Ellis and Mr. Ryan TBK's Llamas Zord, Alpaca Zord Reader. And on this
if you're not watching the stream, you're not going to get it.
Oh, they get it. They get it. You're secretly, if you've not watched the stream, you should, because Ryan is literally a talking alpaca.
That's right.
I am
116 today. Episodes, and you guys never know.
I know it's you said 117. I'm going to have to. I'm
Did I say 117
now before someone.
It's 116.
Else. It is.
But yeah, how he plays hero with hooves, nobody knows. I've never actually.
Oh yeah,
seen him play
I'm
heroes.
Cuzco. I'm Cuzco.
Yeah, there he is. Cuzco's
I'm a llama.
Yep. But on this week's episode, could a new title coming to the Blizzard launcher potentially mean new heroes to enter the Nexus? Things are heating up in the HGC for the mid-season brawl and the Crucibles. That's it. I wanted to say Clash. That would be wrong. And we raise our APM as we discuss D.Va in this week's Hero of the Week and more. But first, as we've already been discussing or talking with them, conversating, let's see how the other Zords are doing. Kuzka Zord, TBK, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. And just as an FYI, if I sound a little different or slightly lower quality, I am at a hotel because I'm at a work conference this week. But neither rain nor storm nor work things will keep me away from podcasting.
I thought you were going to say, if my audio quality is a little low, it's because I'm a llama.
That could be true too.
Yeah, that is a llama.
That could be true.
It is a llama, unfortunately. But
the llama.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are very dedicated. I had to be kept away from podcasting last night because my sewer pipes backed up and my entire house smelled of poo.
That is very
the bathroom right below my bedroom/studio, and I couldn't stand it, so I had to get out. But and also because of the chat, big keyboard for the hooves. I'm just picturing like one of those musical pianos on the ground, except a keyboard, and you playing Heroes by prancing.
Yeah, it's like
on
Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah.
It's a llama doing DDR on the giant keyboard.
It was a little bit of an adjustment, but I made it work.
Made it work.
Got to get my hearing somehow.
That's right.
Multi, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, although our audio listeners are confused as heck right now, for sure. Yeah, we've replaced TBK's face with a framed picture of a llama that I usually have behind me. So check out the stream if you really want to check out that framed llama, or you could just Google a picture of a smiling llama and get the general idea as well. But yeah, no, I'm doing well. How about you?
I am doing all right. There's no more poop smell, so it's good. It's better than it was.
That is an improvement. Yeah.
So what have you guys been up to in gaming this week? So I guess I have been playing a lot of two heroes in Heroes of the Storm this last week, Tyrande and D.Va.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to say, I'm not quite sure how I feel about the Tyrande. Not quite as strong as I thought she was going to be, but I have a good win percentage going in this last week, but I don't know. I haven't decided if it's something I want to take into Hero League, but I am loving D.Va. But what about Multi? What have you been up to this week?
I did try out Tyrande as well, and I think I like her. I particularly like that talent. I don't know what level it's on off the top of my head, but where you reduce the cooldown of your Q, the heal, just by auto attacking.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like you really could still churn out some healing doing that. I mean, yeah, it's single target and it's not the biggest one, but I felt like the mana conservation was still pretty good even with that. Like anytime you would use any of those battle momentum or any of those other talents that would reduce the cooldowns, you just run yourself out of mana, but I didn't think it was that bad. So I certainly would do better if I stopped whiffing with the owl all the time.
Yeah. I was going the E build to where my stun no longer costs mana and it did more damage. And then also the auto attacks reducing Q, and in a team fight you can get your heal off like every 3 seconds, so it is a lot of healing. The stun does a lot of damage late game if you're landing them early, and then the owl's just the owl. I mean, it's nice. TBK, how about you? What have you been up to before heading to a hotel?
Lots of heroes, and this is how dedicated I am. I actually packed my gaming laptop in my big suitcase and brought it along so that I could play Heroes on hotel internet.
How is that?
And let me tell you, it is not the best of experiences. However, I did win a quick match last night, so I consider that a big win for hotel internet play. Okay. I also got my brawls knocked out.
Good deal.
Because that didn't require a whole lot of craziness or anything to get done, and one of them was an all Gazlowe brawl, which ended up being incredibly interesting. We basically, the song "We Built This City on Rock and Roll." Well, we built this city on massive amounts of turrets.
Yeah, I can just.
There's so many turrets.
30 turrets
everywhere.
That's 30 turrets.
I actually had one that was all Genjis. That was a lot of fun.
Oh
my
God.
A lot of dashing, a lot of resets. Good times.
Yeah, it's not like my favorite brawl in the world, but I like the Punisher one a little better. But it's still enjoyable for a little bit, and it worked better on the hotel internet than a full game. So all the people that asked me to play Team League this week, I'm sorry, I had to say no, but you didn't want me this week. you did not want me unless I was on like a completely skill shotless character or something, because there's the leg is real.
I imagine it is. I've never tried gaming in off hotel internet, but I can only imagine. All right, so let's go ahead get into the latest in Blizzard this week. TBK, first up, what do we got going on for this weekly collection?
So we have Abathur on sale for 375 gems and Nazebo on sale for 250 gems. And then, of course, we have our small selection of skins and mounts. The Molten over Queen Zagara, which is one of the old master skins. Plague Dark Lady Sylvanas, another one of the old master skins. Caramel Candy King Murden.
Your favorite.
Yeah, I hate
Poop
it.
Murden.
That's the Poop Murden.
He has a turd on his head.
This game, this podcast is literally so far about poop and llamas.
It is.
Yep.
But we
already. I really did not expect it to go in this direction.
We already used our giant dump episode title, so
I know.
Now it's going to be about like something to do with llama and poop, or I don't know.
I think we're doing it right. The key is to get their attention at the beginning, and then we've done that. We've got your attention,
and then string them along.
We're set.
Nocturnal Eagle Eye Tyrande, which is the superhero Tyrande skin variant. Very, very cool. I actually may end up picking this one up. And the Demonic Ariel, which, of course, is also an amazing skin. Gray Horse. That's it. It's just a gray horse. You can buy it with gems if you want.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, but, I mean, you could. Ringmaster's Pride, which is the lion mount. And then the Jade Nimbus Cloud, which I think is really, really cool. So if you don't have one of the Nimbus Cloud mounts, this is a great opportunity to pick it up for some gems.
Yeah. I am for sure going to have to pick up the Nocturnal Eagle Eye Tyrande.
That would be pretty cool.
It's very cool looking.
It is. That it is. All right. So, Multi, to go along with the collection update stuff, what do we got going on in the hero rotation this week?
Oh, we've got a few. We've got Raynor, Muradin, Sonya, Nazebo, Uther, Jaina, Li Ming, Tychus, Lieutenant Morales, Lunara, Illidan account level 5. We got Stitches at account level 10. Rexar at 15. And topping it out is the champion himself, Murky, at account level 20.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, again, you know, you got a lot of free heroes from your mega bundles anyway, right? So use those too. It's all good.
Yep. Or if you didn't, you should. And we'll talk about that here in just a second.
Yep. Just a second. Mm-hmm.
All right. So the news coming this week for Heroes of the Storm. This first one, not necessarily Heroes of the Storm, potentially though, with the announcement, or not announcement, but what was it? Just like a gameplay trailer of Destiny 2 this last week. That was a big deal and streamed. Along with that came the announcement that for PC, it is going to be available exclusively on the Blizzard launcher. So,
What?
yeah. What?
Yep.
So this raises a lot of questions. First and foremost, you know, a lot of people non-Blizzard related are kind of upset because, oh, we don't want to download another launcher. I probably don't care. You all probably don't care because you're playing Heroes, so you have the launcher anyways. And it's a great launcher, so I am okay with that. But where this ties into Heroes are the rumors spreading and people wondering, does this mean that Heroes of the Storm is going to see a tie-in with Destiny? Dun dun dun, I guess.
I have thoughts on this.
Yeah, a lot of people have thoughts.
We all have thoughts on this.
We haven't really talked about this, so I'm interested to see if any of our thoughts line up. Mine is less volatile than a lot of people's. I personally would not be pissed or upset if I saw Destiny characters in Heroes of the Storm. I would prefer not, because this isn't a Blizzard title. It's an Activision title, which is just the father company of Blizzard. I would be more okay with Destiny-influenced skins, potentially. So that's my
Just
stance
cosmetics,
on the crossover. Yes. TBK, you sound... Yeah, I mean, what do you got?
Okay, so let's just be honest. I am all for Nathan Fillion voicing something in Heroes of the Storm.
Announcer.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'd like give him a character
Or just announce pack.
or an announcer pack. I would take that. I would take that. Whatever. You know, make use of him. He's got a good voice. You can find something for him. But I would not be okay with Destiny characters in Heroes.
Okay.
And I think this way because I feel like Heroes of the Storm is about Blizzard universes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to see that precedent set of a non-Blizzard game getting a character in Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would then set a bad precedent for, okay, later on, if, and they say there are no current plans, but if Call of Duty comes to the Blizzard launcher or some of their other PC games and Activision starts morphing the Blizzard launcher into an Activision Blizzard launcher or perhaps even a storefront or something like that, which I also hope doesn't happen. I mean, the launcher is nice and clean and it's Blizzard, and Blizzard uses it for their services and their voice and their chat and stuff. And there's a lot of pluses of that functionality and that infrastructure coming to Destiny 2, which is one of the reasons they're doing it, even though it seems I still think it's weird that they're doing it, but I can understand why they're doing it just from a PC perspective, especially since Destiny 1 was only on consoles and not on PC. But at the same time, I don't think it would be good for Heroes to have a Destiny character in it because it would set a bad precedent. I think that non-Blizzard characters can now come into the game, and this game is very much about Blizzard universes, and I don't want to see that cheapened by one-off like tie-ins or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm completely with Gizmo. I would be completely okay with Destiny themed skins for current characters. I think that would
like
be
a
I think
Rainer
that'd be
skin
awesome.
or something.
That'd be cute. That'd be fun. That'd be kind of a neat little tie-in, a little nod. But I don't want to see any Destiny universe within Heroes.
Yeah.
Unless for some reason Blizzard themselves took over making Destiny. But this is a Bungie game. This is not a Blizzard game. So I don't think it has any place in Heroes.
Correct. Okay.
Yep. And I'm in the accord with both of you on this one. And again, if we open the lid to things like Call of Duty, we're also opening it to things like Skylanders, which I don't know anything about Skylanders other than that I feel like my son one day, which by the way, it's a boy, he's probably going to get into them, I could see. But personally, not really my bag. And in general, like Density, as I call it, isn't my bag either. I never did play Density 1. I really have no interest in Density 2. I've got a couple buddies who got into it. Actually, those guys over on the Mixed Six podcast are all about it. And I hear it uses a lot of the same kind of tricks of the mind to get you sucked in and wanting to gear up, much like you get in Diablo and that sort of thing. And I just ain't nobody got time for that. You know what I mean? So I'm with you guys. I think something cosmetic would be okay. I'm definitely something as simple as like a card back in Hearthstone would be fine to me. But even if you had like a whole line of skins come out with the release or something in Heroes, I don't know, like especially now with the new Heroes 2.0 system, the thought that I could random into one, I just have no interest in them at all. So like personally, if we had the old system and I had to maybe go in and either purchase them or something like that, I could see it. But presently, I'm just not really fired up about it at all, personally.
Here's my prediction, and I kind of differ as far as I was big into Destiny. I played a lot of it.
Played a lot of Density.
Yeah, I played a lot. I did the first raid. I didn't do any of the other raids, but I still played because I like that loot grind, gearing up process. Where I don't think either of you said you didn't. I don't believe TBK played it. Did you?
No, I didn't have the console.
So this is something I'll pick up. Another thing with this connection is you can buy this with Battle.net Balance or Blizzard Balance now. So my prediction, to help sell this game on PC, which I will pick up, there is going to be a crossover promotion with, if you buy it for the Battle.net launcher, you will get a Vulture. No, it's not a Vulture mount. What are the mounts called in Destiny? I don't remember. For Heroes. It kind of looks like a Vulture. It's a little different.
Sure. And it's not just Heroes tie-in. They may tie it into some of the other games too.
Yeah.
I think if they tie it into one,
they're
going to probably do all of them to a degree, or at least most. So, yeah. And like a Hearthstone card back is an easy one to just put together.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that kind of stuff if it's very just like cosmetic-y nod. Yay, this is on our launcher. That's great. Anything more than that, I don't like.
Yeah, I like the Probius Ghost skin. That'd be cool, Raffle. Anyways, yeah, let us know what you guys are thinking on that. If you guys are, if you want to see a Destiny hero in Heroes of the Storm, or if you're against crossovers completely, just send us a tweet, email us, do those things. Also, coming up here, I've mentioned this several times. I want to mention it one more time here, and that is the Gathering Storm Tournament. Again, this is the crossover tournament between the CTR / Lords of the Storm community, the A-Move TV community, Frog Pants, and Geekly. And it is a Heroes tournament to see which community will rule them all. And the sign-ups for this are going to close on May 30th, and that is GatheringStormTournament.com. So go check that out. Get a team signed up. It's going to be fun. That is going to be June 3rd and 4th. And, represent so the heroes come out on top. If a Lords of the Storm or CTR team does not win, Sharku, who's putting this together, one of my buds over at Convert to Raid, is going to shave his beard and head. And I'm still trying to convince him on the eyebrows. So
I don't think that shaving hair works out for you that well, though.
Yeah,
if GFE has anything to show us.
Exactly. So we'll see. A sparrow.
Harsh
that's
truth.
what the mount's called. Anyways.
One thing, though, Sharku, if you're listening, you still have on that main page, it's a multi-community HOTS tournament, but it's still typoed to be Mulit, M-U-L-I-T. And as multi-Zord, I will tell you, it's MULTI. Thank you.
Oh, it
That's
does
all.
say mullet?
Mullet.
Ah,
It's just a typo.
I didn't know that.
It's all good. All
Just called him out.
Called out for all the people. We also have here the welcome bundle that we mentioned a few weeks ago is now live. And that is going to be 800 gems, a welcome chest, a rare chest, epic chest, 7 days stim pack, a zebra mount for $5. Not bad.
That's really not bad.
Not bad at all.
Like that again
I
is
picked
something
it
I
up.
think I might
picked it
pick
up
up.
last night.
Yeah.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably
just
get
good
that
quality.
on both my accounts. As well, as we mentioned, the Mega Bundle has been extended to May 29th. So if you're listening to this kind of early on after release, you'll still have a chance to get in there and grab that
It's
thing.
literally probably the best HOTS deal they've ever had.
And will
may
ever
ever
have.
It really
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
Yeah, well, I can't say they will ever have because who knows the future, but it is by far the best deal they've given up until this point. It is so much for free.
That is true. Yeah, we've got Heroes 3.0 on the way, right? That's just around the corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next year.
Mhm.
Announced at BlizzCon 3.0.
But yeah, so pick this up on your alt accounts, pick this up on your other regions if you haven't done that yet. I only just recently did the other region bit myself. So, yeah, don't forget because time's running out.
All right. New Core Concepts is on the website, and this one is Battleground Basics. So if you are new and joining us in Heroes of the Storm, or if you're trying to climb the ladder, if you've been having some trouble with some map mechanics or understanding any aspect of maps, check this out. It talks about importance of map awareness, kind of the pinging system, laning and roaming, merc camps, how to use objectives and mercenaries to your advantage. And yeah, it's some pretty good tips. Not too long, just kind of touching on the basics.
I was very happy with this one.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably one of the biggest struggles I see for people, or this is probably one of the biggest troubles with people who are trying to push higher and push harder and get better. This is extremely core to the concept of playing heroes.
Yeah.
So
I see what you did there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's good.
So definitely check this article out. It is very well written, extremely helpful if you want to get some tips.
And honestly, the best tip on the whole thing, underneath laning and roaming, tip number 2, there's no need to worry about kill stealing. Thank goodness. I don't really think we've talked much about how awesome it is that we don't have to sit there and think about, who's last hitting the hero and getting the gold for it? And am I able to buy my Infinity Edge because of it? No, it's great. I just had to throw that out there. I'm sorry.
All right. Also, this week, Blizz Travis responded to a Reddit thread concerning Team League and its matchmaking, and he gave an answer not too detailed yet, but he wanted to kind of nip it in the butt here. They were talking about the issues with obviously, having Grandmasters go up against Bronze League and Team League. That's not a good thing. But he said the issue is stemming from the vast differentiation between 2s and 3s queuing up. He said there's a lot more 2s, or if there's a lot more 3s, because they need one of each to make a team of 5. And if it's a wide gap, it's going to make one of those wait a long time for those queues, which then therefore opens up the matchmaking system to YOLO mode and just wants to get a game together. So they said it's better than before 2s and 3s were added, but it still makes way too many poor matches for them to be happy with. So they are aiming at addressing it. It's in development. No details on it as of yet. But
there will be details out closer to the start of the next season, which is big because this season ends the week of June 13th, if I remember correctly. So that's not that far away.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
So I'm really kind of interested in seeing what they end up going with. A little further down the thread, someone actually did ask him if they would bring back like single queuing for Team League to have like a 4-1 as potential more options. And he said something to the effect of, it's not that's not on the table for this time around. If there continues to be issues or poor matchmaking, then that is one of the potential fixes.
Yeah,
So it's kind of interesting too.
I can see
Yeah.
why, because for a 4-1, yeah, that could actually work out, because most likely the group of 4 is in comms, and you can kind of just listen. If you listen to their pings, do what they're saying, then there's a fairly
It's not too
decent
hard to be
chance
on
of
the same
success.
page
Yeah.
as the one.
Right.
However, that could create more problems with this 2s and 3s situation, because then you could potentially have a group of 2 and then 3 solos, which would not be extremely cohesive. So yeah, it'll be really interesting, because I can't think of anything off the top of my head, because to make 5, if you're gonna have 2, you need 3.
Well, I
If you're
mean,
gonna have
it would
3, you need
depend
2.
how stringent the rules were, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they could make it so if you queued as 1, you could only queue 4.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you could do only a 3 and then 2 1s.
And the more
highly
stringent they
doubt
are,
would do 2s and a 3s, but
Yeah.
and adding the stringency will actually help balance it, but it'll really increase those queue times. Like, if the only way to balance a 1-4 is matching it up against another 1-4, or like a much higher rated set of like 1-2-2, then it could take forever for that queue. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Tricky.
But no, my main point was just, like, even if they did that, it would not have any effect on this 2s and 3s issue. So it will be interesting. I'm excited to see what it is they
Makes it
come
more
up with.
complicated.
I'm interested in reading the article they have for sure.
Yeah.
And shameless self-promotion, I did write a huge blog post about this. I've got a really good idea on how to fix the team league issue.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Check it
It's
out.
true.
Put it in the show notes.
In-game team finder.
Yeah.
We need it, and we need it bad.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna keep talking about it, because I feel like something in game to help me find teammates would be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen
Oh,
the
yeah.
success in just Chair League, Heroes Heart, some of the other like grouping sites or social hero sites or whatever. You throw that in game, you have access to tens of thousands of players that you can figure out times and schedules with. I mean, that just seems like a no-brainer as far as helping ease grouping problems and getting more people together on a regular basis to fill that team league up.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
I agree. All right, and another interesting thread on Reddit. It was kind of Rich apparently had made a video on his problems, a short list of problems he noticed while climbing to rank 1 in Hero League in Korea. And Delkin85 went ahead and just translated the short list to English, and it came across some pretty interesting points. It's only 3 points, and the first one is placements are basically meaningless. Being able to get to Diamond 3, which is too high, with quick match MMR makes the whole tier ladder system poor. And this is obviously going to be more in effect for people that are new to the game and have not gone into ranked yet. If you have a high MMR in quick match, if you're just good at MOBAs and you come over, you play well, and then you do your placements, there's a pretty good chance you will get ranked really high. Number 2,
Yeah.
no pick/hero exchange in draft leads to way too easy losing in drafts. That at my tier of competition, not a huge issue, but obviously we want a lot of players coming over here, a lot of high skill cap players coming over here to get into the HGC. So I can see where that would be a deterrent. And then 3, the higher the MMR, the more disadvantages, at least at the highest GM. I don't know what the point is he's trying to make there, TBK. Do you?
So the higher the MMR, the more disadvantage. I think that's kind of referring back to the point number 1 in some ways. So there's been a lot of talk lately on Reddit and just several avenues that placements are meaningless. We're seeing players with just a few hundred games getting in, just placing in D3 for going 5-5
Yeah.
or 6-4 or
Mhm.
something like that, which that seems pretty ridiculous on an overall. A lot of people are even coming in or Smurfs. Smurfs is a really good example of this. You come in, you dominate quick match and just have 100, 200 games. You do really well in quick match. You do your placements. You go 4-6 or 5-5 or 6-4 or something like that. You hit D3. And so if a new player does that exact same thing, just because they farm quick match or because they play with friends who are higher rank or some such thing, and they just get their quick match MMR up high, then they get placed in D3, and then you hit Hero League, and they're nowhere near the skill level they need to be for that, which, first off, it throws the entire D3, D4, D5, D2 type pool into utter flux because you hit that area and then you have no idea. Like the teammates' skills will be across the board.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I've heard several people tell me who are in Diamond that there is a massive skill range in that. And so because of how the system works, that player, the longer they play, will eventually drop down, probably drop down to where they should be. But in doing so, they are making every single match on their way down bad for the people who actually belong in whatever division they're in.
Yeah.
And for them, it's bad. I mean, it at least feels bad. You'd probably, if you were a newer player in that situation, you're coming over from League and you've got some really good mechanics and are just smart enough to kind of get the maps. Like, you're the perfect player. You're who we want to keep. And if you get in here and do a giant losing streak and just kind of like, oh, well, I feel like what I'm doing isn't impacting it enough, or I mean, I could just roll in, and then that's when you just switch back to League or something.
Or you get people who just become very toxic, or salty in games because they feel, from a feel standpoint, they're like, I'm in Diamond 3, I'm in Diamond 4. Like, why isn't everyone? Why aren't we winning? Why are we losing? Why isn't everybody else good or whatever? And that can affect your mindset. And so, how do you fix this type of thing? And I mean, there's probably a few ways, and I'm sure you guys have some thoughts on this too. But I mean, for one, maybe if you've never played a ranked season before, maybe you have to play more placement games that mean more.
Yeah.
Play 20 or 25 instead. It only is for the first season, and it may suck, but in the overall scheme of things, that might help overall the match quality of the people who are getting placed. Or potentially don't have D3 as your high point.
Yeah.
Maybe pull it back if you need to. Or base, or even potentially base the highest max rank that you can get in placements based on your previous rank. So if you got to Masters, then your highest potential rank in placements for the next season is Diamond 3. If you were in like Platinum, Plat 3 or something, maybe the highest rank you can place is in D5 or something like that. And it becomes this smaller range that might keep you in your skill level more. And then if you've never played ranked before, if it's a new account, if you've only got a few hundred games in, maybe that first season you can't place higher than Plat 3 or Plat 2 or Plat 1 or something like that. Push that range down a little bit. Or just make them play more placement games.
Yeah.
I mean, there's either or.
Or not even necessarily more placement games, but maybe have the placement games just matter more, like you're saying.
Well,
when you're starting for the first time, or if you're skipping a season, I could see that too. Like if you just don't place one season, but then come back the next time, perhaps not as much of the MMR would carry over from the previous run, and then you'd have a series of placements that would then, I mean, again, if you're a skilled player, it works on the flip side. If you end up going 10-0 in that, then heck yeah, you're back in Diamond 3, you're good to go. But it would just in those scenarios, I could see how we could have a scaling. It matters more when you're coming back, but not as much between seasons. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I think I think a combination of both. The more placement matches plus them being weighted more, because with 10 matches, you can have a good
10's
lucky
just not
streak.
enough.
Yeah, you can have a lucky streak in the same
That's
issue.
enough.
I
Or
like
an unlucky streak. Yeah.
I like the being limited to where you can be placed at, but then the issue that pops to mind with that is, okay, so I'm a Diamond 3 player. I got placed at Plat 5, we'll say. Now, I am almost kind of forced to get my placement matches in for the next season done and try and grind back up to Diamond quick with the other Diamond players that are trying to climb back up there. If I wait too long, now I'm playing with Plat players and potentially having, Plat teammates instead of Diamond teammates, which, then you could say, well, you'd be facing Plat enemies, so you potentially carry. It's just, there's never going to be 100% fix for any matchmaking system in any competitive game.
Sure.
There's too many
I
variables.
definitely think it could be a lot better than it is now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I really do like the dynamic placement option.
Mm-hmm.
Just and potentially, I like what Multi said too. If you skip ranked for a season, chances are you weren't playing as much, or you might not be the most up to date with something. That's not necessarily true, but that's just a generalization. And so, yeah, maybe you do need to play more placements the next time around, or something like that. And honestly, while we're on the subject of ranked, just the grind itself, I feel like it's a lot. It really is. It can be a lot to grind up. I would personally like to see promotion and demotion matches only happen at the full rank changes instead of happening at each rank. I would like to see if you're gold 5 and you hit the bottom of gold 5, I would like to see a demotion match to silver. And one of the things I really actually liked about League of Legends is in their promotion and demotion matches, they were best of threes.
Yeah.
And I love that idea. I absolutely love it. And it'll only work really well if you put the demotion and the promotion matches at the very bottom part of a section and the very top part of a section, because I don't want to be playing best of threes every single tier.
Yeah, that would just make the grind heavier.
Exactly.
Because that's even more grind. But
now it'd be two less games.
Yeah, if you took that middle part out, and as soon as I hit the points I needed for silver 3, I just jump into silver 2. As soon as I hit the points I needed for silver 1, I go to silver 1, and then right before I go to gold, as soon as I hit my promotion point, I get a little thing pop up, best of 3. That way, if you have a cruddy game, you still have a chance to win the next 2. Whereas otherwise, it gives you a little bit more of a chance to brush off a crappy game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get and it would mean a lot more too. So you want to weigh it appropriately, because it's like, oh man, this is the big deal. I'm going from silver 1 to gold 5, and then I get this cool little best of 3 series, just like an HGC thing or something like that. And if I win my best of 3 series, bam, I'm in the thing. Otherwise, you knock down a few hundred points or whatever, and you have to win another game or 2 to get back into your promotion match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for this to work, kind of building on that concept, you would have to maintain the points you earned in those placement matches as well. Like, I would want to still be kind of rewarded for maybe going 1 and 2. Like, I drop back down, I have to grind my way back up, but it's better than going just straight up 0 and 2. You know what I mean?
It should probably equal out to somewhere to where if you go like 1 and 2, then you have to win 1 game to get back into the best of 3. If you go 0 and 2, then you have to win 2 games. So something weighted there. But I think this is probably, for them, would be one of the easiest and one of the quickest / best ways to improve here really quickly. Because I completely agree with that.
I think that would help a lot of people, because a lot of the times from a mindset perspective, I get discouraged if I get stuck in one rank for too long because it's at least from a mindset perspective, it's so much of a slog. If I'm hitting that promo game and then I get a crappy game and then it's back down and then I have to win 2 games to get back to the promo game. And then if you lose that again, I might have to play another 2 games depending on what like my personal adjustment is and what the team adjustment is. And it's a little better in Hero League than Team League, of course, because since it's solo, they can pair you a little better, so you don't have those huge point swings. Like I've had a 240-point Hero League game or Team League game when we actually won against much higher ranked people, but then I've had a 100-point Team League game when it was just an absolute stomp because of a mismatch. So I mean, I think that would be huge for them. Not just from an ease of use and a much better way to do promotions and demotions, but just from a mindset perspective, when I got the points, I can go from silver 3 to silver 2. Or when I got the points, I can go from plat 2 to plat 1. And then those demo best of 3 and those promo best of 3 at either end become the big deal that you're shooting for. And then you actually feel like you have a chance to knock those out.
Not only that, it's just fun too. Like I did play around with this in League a little bit before I made the permanent switch over to Heroes, and just getting into like that third of your best of 3, you open up the chat initially and say, "Okay, guys, this is my 3rd placement match. This is my ticket into gold. Let's go for it." And I mean, if you've got some serious players there with you, they'll say, "All right, cool. Yeah, I'll pick my best hero. I'll call things out. I'll do the pings properly." Granted, you could run into a troll who then says, "Oh, that's nice," and then just goes Gazlo top lane the whole game. But it is still fun to have that moment where you're like, okay, there's a lot riding on this one. Let's just do this, and it's fun. So
and
on top of everything we've said,
I think it would add something to it.
Yeah,
for sure.
It had a much more of a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, and I've had I think my worst like promotion match streak that I've had was I played 3 and didn't get promoted, and none of those 3 promotion matches were even close. Like it was just teammates weren't wanting to cooperate, and like didn't stand a chance. So that is 6 games instead of. Well, that's 6 games and then having to win 2 more. So potentially 8 games instead of, 4 to 6 or whatnot. So I do like that. And I personally, I don't know what system could be in place to help this, but I would like to see a system also because of how tough the grind is, for there to be kind of a protection against bad losing streaks to, I don't know, make it harder to lose a rank than it is to gain a rank. Because, like, I don't even know what the points difference is right now between.
I mean, it technically is already.
Yeah, but not very much. Like, not
because they don't bank lost points, but they do bank.
Well, and I'm not just talking in like promotion games. I'm just talking like in
across
general.
The score. In general.
Across the score in general, because it seems. With the points, it feels like I would have to play 100 games before I even noticed like a difference of, oh, I'm a rank higher than I would have been if they didn't have this weighted the way they do. So
sure, but I think that would partially be fixed just going to this type of system where your promo and demo games are only at the top end and the bottom end.
Yeah,
because you would be moving through the ranks more fluidly than you are now.
Yeah. And I don't want to add more demotion matches, but what if it was like, for promotion matches, you only have to do them at the top of each rank. So going from gold to platinum or platinum to diamond. However, you can have demotion matches for each tier in that system to protect you from going like just plummeting from, gold 1 to gold 5, having a chance to, I'm gold 1. I just had a really bad losing streak. Now I have, a game that can keep me at gold 1 instead of dropping down to gold 2.
Maybe.
To slow the fall back.
If you go on that kind of a streak, maybe you deserve to be down there.
Maybe not. And if you deserve it, then you'll probably lose that match.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
I don't
probably
know.
probably
I don't know
way
if I
too
would agree
many
with that
demotion
specifically.
and promotion matches and things like that. But
Yeah.
just something to make it easier to rise than it is to fall.
And Hearthstone's solution to that is in win streaks. If you win so many games in a row, you go on a little streak, get a bonus star in that case, but maybe a win streak in Heroes would get you just maybe even a tiny point bump. That way you're losing roughly the same amount, but if you really go in there and take some heads, you could actually climb a little bit easier there too.
And you already
So
do.
Yeah, you
That
get the bonus
that
points.
is built in already.
the win streaks thing?
Yeah, you get bonus
Yeah,
points for
because-
win streaks.
Yeah, you
Okay, yeah.
get a player adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're winning a lot, the system thinks, oh, you're not supposed to be here, and then
Helps
each
try
week
to
you get
climb
beyond
you up.
that.
Okay.
You start getting some extra points, and it's the same on the back end too. If you're losing a lot, at least currently, the system can actually give you negative points.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
maybe you could get rid of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm alluding to.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, so there are a million things you could do to this system to make it worse, make it better, whatever. Let us know what your guys' thoughts are on that too, because that's another very interesting topic, and I'm sure a lot of you out there have strong opinions on it or ideas that you would like to see implemented. But let's go ahead and
One sec. I have to address the second point real fast. Yes, we need swaps.
yeah,
Swaps
Yeah.
are so key, and for the love of all that is good, let's get them in. Let's get them in team league, and let's get them sooner rather than later. Like I can understand not putting them in hero league. I mean, I don't necessarily understand it, but I can live with it, I guess, because I mean, if you look at a lot of the other games, swaps are implemented in every type of mode,
Mhm.
and it can allow for a little bit of toxicity where someone is just like, oh, if I have to play support, I don't want to do it, or if I don't get to play damage, then I don't want to do it. Someone swap me off of this,
Or they
else I'm
say
not
they're
gonna
going to
play.
swap, but then just don't or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always, any system is always going to have some level of ability to subvert it or troll it or something like that. But at the same time, I really understand you want that option to be there. Drafting is such an important part of this game that, say I'm up top and I play a really good hero for this map. That's great. But it's not a hero that you, from a draft perspective, that you want to grab first pick. It's
Right.
a hero that needs to be fourth or fifth pick. So I want someone down at 4 or 5 to grab that hero for me and then swap it to me.
Yep.
So, I mean,
Changes
that's
your entire layout.
it's a huge deal from a draft perspective. And if Heroes wasn't so draft reliant of a game, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But because draft is such an important part of Heroes of the Storm, I feel like this type of a system is just super needed
Yep.
to allow one team not to just outdraft the other team because of the luck of the players' lineup and what the players can play on a certain map.
yeah.
It's very rough right now in a lot of cases, depending on how the pick order is. So let's, at the very least, let's get that in Team League ASAP. But I don't see any
Well, can't you
reason.
just choose your order in Team League?
Yeah, but then you can still, change your draft strategy based on their picks and stuff. So swap would still be
Yeah.
nice.
That's true. Yeah, so it would still be nice.
Yeah, especially for when you're not in a 5 stack, because you can still get 2s and 3s, and
That's a
potentially
good point.
even 1s and 4s. So, I mean, it's something that you need. But at the same time, if we're going to throw it in Team League, let's just throw it in Hero League, for
Well,
goodness sake.
and the
I mean,
way
that's where I think we really need it.
the
Oh, yeah,
way
it's more pressing in Hero League.
the way I believe it works in League, because they have this just in their, unranked draft mode, is you can, if you pick a hero and somebody else picks a hero that you own, it just puts a little icon next to the thing that you can swap, and
Right.
it'll say, "Are you sure you want to swap?" If you hit yes, then it will send that person a thing saying, "Oh, this person requests to swap." And it really does seem just that simple. I haven't experienced, granted, I don't play that nearly to the length I play Heroes, but I haven't experienced any trolling or anything. And also, that is not
It's just something
ranked.
you get used to.
But yeah, it's just, and it's been used a couple times, to where, this person was like, oh, they wanted to make a counter pick. They're like, hey, can you pick up this person for me and I'll switch you? And I was like, yes, that's fine. Worked out great.
I mean, heck, it's in our HGC tournament custom draft mode right now. Like, I feel like it's been there for a while. It's been there since the beginning of the year. I think it's time we move that to our Team League and Hero League formats. Yes, you're going to get a little bit of bad out of it, but I think the good will completely outweigh the bad in being able to draft better comps and get more of that synergy going just because draft is such a big thing.
Yeah,
and I think Blizzard knows this. I mean, they pretty much have to. It's just maybe they're having issues implementing it or something. I would like to see if that's part of the change with the next season, though. And honestly, wouldn't be that surprised if it was.
I mean, they addressed this in our interview at the summit, and they were talking about how they wanted to. This was something they were looking at, but they wanted to be able to, if I'm remembering correctly, that they wanted to implement into both Team League and Hero League at once. They didn't want to do just Team League and then Hero League. So that's probably where they're running into the issues, but I do imagine, because this is a highly requested thing, that Team League will be coming sooner than later, because if they keep pushing it off, I mean, this is going to be something that's requested for nonstop. Anytime there's any announcement of any changes to ranked play, that they'll at least just get it in Team League. So hopefully both, though, and again, sooner than later.
Yeah, I'd like to see both.
All right.
This season.
Well, let's move on to the HGC. TPK, we got a lot of interesting things happening this week.
Some spicy stuff.
Spicy.
Yep.
Spicy.
Real spicy.
We got the beginning of NA roster apocalypse.
It's coming.
7.0. I don't even know what number we're up to now. But it's high up there. And I mean, okay, and so I say that kind of in a joking manner because this is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, in fact,
there's provision. Yeah, there's provision in the HGC for mid-season and end-of-season swaps, where you can, I believe, swap up to 2 people out for 2 other people on an HGC team. And this is actually a good thing. Like, sometimes things have to be done, switches have to be made. It's good. I mean, the league, as of now, has most definitely provided way more stability for teams than we've had in the past.
Yeah,
because in the past we had teams switching after every single event.
Yeah, this is. I mean, they're forced to hold these rosters long enough that it's a pretty good indicator that
you can figure out if it's working or not.
Yeah, if this is going to work or not. Nothing drastic. Sure, they can get a little bit better, a little bit worse, but nothing drastic's going to happen. So it gives them time to make those adjustments.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then there's a way out, keeping it from being stale, or if there's bad blood on a team, for instance, like we saw with old school Tempo Storm, for instance, then there's still the ability to get in some new blood and breathe some new life into some of these teams. So it's a good thing. Anyway, as you're saying,
it's good. So the first of which, up to this point, has been announced. So Gale Force Esports announced that they will be dropping Equinox and Crowan. And one of these is not surprising to me, and one of these is kind of surprising to me. Gale Force has been a team. I mean, they talked about the 4 flex and a support. We talked about that, or we've talked about that before. And so right now, Equinox has been on tank, and tank is not necessarily his best. Melee assassin is really where Equinox shines.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't been able to do that, and he was kind of shoehorned into the tank, and he did an okay job, but it's not his strong suit. And so I think this change, in part, will actually be really good for them to be able to find a actual legitimate tank player, and hopefully Equinox will be able to go to another team that will value him for his melee assassin play. Crowan was a little more surprising.
Yeah.
To me, I think. I think on the current, at least on the current Gale Force roster, he's been underutilized, especially the second half. He hasn't necessarily been on those ranged assassins.
Yeah, they stretched him too much. I felt like.
I completely agree. And so he's still a very good player, And so I hope he will find another team that will be able to utilize him for those range assassin things. It's all about these teams finding that synergy and finding players that really fit in the roles they're supposed to be in. And Equinox, and I guess to a lesser extent Crowan, may have stood out as just not fitting into that roster the way they should, not because they're bad, but because they were put on things that wasn't their comfort level or wasn't their best. So we'll be following that a little bit. I highly expect both of them to end up somewhere.
Yep.
But the roster, no announcements as to who is replacing them as of right now. But the roster swapping will most likely start up, and we'll see some stuff from probably at least several of the teams, except for sure for Tempo Storm and Teammate, since they are going to Sweden.
It'd be really interesting to see a swap sort of happen between two teams that are salaried and actually in the full-on HGC, where we take a few of these players out here, but maybe they join Teammate or somewhere else. It could be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll see that, but
yeah, I don't know. It's possible we'll see some Tempo.
They're still good players, so
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We'll see how that unfolds over the next few weeks.
Yeah, because
go ahead.
I imagine if like both Naventic and No Tomorrow remain, if they make it through the Crucible, then we're gonna see some obviously some roster changes on those teams, because what they were doing wasn't working.
That's probably fairly likely. And that's a good transition, because speaking of the Crucible, that is happening this weekend. And this is going to be, I'm honestly just as excited about this as I am for the mid-season brawl.
Oh yeah.
Oh, easy.
Because this is two of Europe. I mean, it's for every region, but for most of what we cover, this is like the two weakest teams of Europe and NA versus the two strongest teams from the Open Division. And so we've got a little more information on that now for the Open Division playoffs. Even in Death won the NA Open Division playoffs, and they have chosen to play No Tomorrow as their team. And as I think I mentioned 1 or 2 weeks ago, I feel like that's probably the best choice for them, because I feel like when push comes to shove, No Tomorrow will be the weaker of the team, even though Naventic has not had that amazing of a record either.
Yeah.
And then Imported Support will be playing Naventic. And then in Europe, Team Gangang will be playing B Genius, leaving Synergy to play the Open Division runner-up Team Zealot. And these should be interesting too.
Yeah.
A lot of the pros are predicting it won't be very hard at all for the HGC teams to keep their spots.
Just because they're that good.
Yeah, they think the gap in skill is still far enough that it won't be a thing. I can definitely say, for having watched a lot of the EU side, B Genius made a role swap in the last few weeks, and they just started being on fire, doing really well. And so I feel like Synergy is probably has the biggest target on their back, is actually getting eliminated on the EU side. And as far as the NA side goes, I don't know. It could be a toss-up, or it could be just a complete slaughter.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a complete slaughter on the side of the amateur team, but I do feel there at least is potential for a longer series where an amateur team potentially could knock one out.
Yeah.
How fun would that be to watch? I'm just saying. But anyway,
it'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think like teams like No Tomorrow, they had to earn their way into the HGC through kind of an open league format, those tournaments that they were having. So obviously they've had a lot of time playing against tougher competition, so they've probably improved. But there was a lot of competition to get those last two spots in the HGC. So it would definitely not surprise me to see really close matches here. especially with
Oh,
what
for
is
sure.
on the line. I think these
Oh, yeah,
teams
it's
are
a
going to be
big
just
deal.
playing out of their minds. So
Yeah, and it's a best of 7, so there will be no mistakes. I mean, this is definitely going to come down to which is the better team, and they're done like that on purpose. They will be hitting, other than the 2 map bans, they'll be hitting every single map in the map pool.
Yeah.
Which would be really interesting too, because there's some maps we don't get to see very often. So that is going to take place this Saturday. There will be one EU game best of 7, and then one NA game best of 7, and then Sunday one EU and one NA. And the cool thing is they're actually bringing Jake and Jayhow and Grubby and Tetcher, who have been casting the Open Division all along. They're actually, I believe, they're bringing them to the studio, and they will be casting those games, which is really cool. That the openly casters are actually being able or allowed to finish kind of what they started and kind of follow through and actually do the casting of these open teams that they've been casting the whole time through, because they know all about them, right? And so what better people to cast these teams than the people who've been casting them all along. So big grats to those 4, and I'm super excited to be watching them this weekend.
Mhm.
I'm sure you guys will be catching a lot of those too.
oh yes,
Oh yeah, no, I've been looking forward to this since the announcement. It's just such a cool concept. Even if all of the current salary teams stay around, I still just love the concept.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's been tough the past few weeks for me to catch much of the HGC, but I have been making sure this weekend has been open for a while. So,
Oh yeah,
It'll be good.
Yeah.
Moving on from the Crucible, we have the mid-season brawl to look forward to, which begins on June 10th, where the top 12 teams across the HGC will compete to discover who is truly the best in the world. But before we jump into that, while all this action is going on, we're going to get this really cool East meets West Heroes All-Stars 2017. And so this is a cool little deal where they'll be taking the best players from each region, forming 2 teams, and setting them loose in a series of show matches.
Mhm.
And the cool thing is, us, the community, gets to pick who these players are going to be. And so there's a voting site, and we'll have the link in the show notes, to go on and pick your favorites out of all the different teams, and they'll battle it out in 3 best-of-3 games at DreamHack, June 17th through 19th. So apparently the first set will be standard HGC format, and then they'll be changing up the rules in series 2 and 3, and they don't say what that is, but
I almost hope they use the sandbox mode, but also use this as like an announcement of being like, guess what? Now Observer has the controls; they can do whatever they want with no one else knowing.
just make
it
that'd be
nuts.
so
that
cool.
would be
Yeah.
pretty fun.
Like, and 300% game speed.
Yep.
So that'll be a lot of fun. I think we're going to get some really fun matches. On to the mid-season brawl itself. I know we've gotten some questions in Discord on how the structure works, so I wanted to take just a second and kind of try to talk through it, so that people who don't kind of know what was going will understand a little bit. So we've got our league format to start with, and where every team will play every other team 2 times, I believe. And during that, they get points basically for winning or losing, and that's how the standings and the seeding is done. The top team automatically gets into stuff, pretty much. And then the bottom 2 teams are, from a mid-season perspective, they go to Crucible to fight the top 2 open teams. And then the way they did it this time around is a like step ladder format.
Mm-hmm.
So teams 5 and 6 fight each other, and then the winner of that fights the 4th seed. Then the winner of that fights the 3rd seed, and the winner of that fights the 2nd seed. So basically, the higher the seeding you get, the less matches you have to win to technically win it all.
Yeah.
And so that's your incentive for doing well in the league play, because that gives you a much easier road for the playoffs.
And in my opinion, that's how the Open League probably should have been done.
Probably.
Probably.
Well, I actually may have a differing opinion on the stepladder system because we saw this actually play out in this past week with the actual HGC playoffs. We saw the stepladder go, and it makes sense, like from a number standpoint. But as a viewer, the only match that really totally matters is that final one against the number 2 seed. And so even this week, I was going into it on the NA side, and I pulled up the games Team 8 versus Team Freedom, and I did watch the first one, but it was such a stomping, frankly, that I was like, this doesn't matter. I feel like they're just going to take it anyway. Why not just go on to the GFE and Team 8 one? So I think we encounter a similar issue here, and I don't know if I love it. Like, if I was following one team in particular throughout their whole story, that would incentivize me to go back. But if I'm just looking for, okay, who's qualifying to make it into the finals, I'm just going to that one.
Well, you can kind of
It's
say
a little
that
weird.
for any format. Like,
Sure.
BlizzCon,
I don't think that's
I
a
just
bad
want to watch
thing.
the finals. Like,
Well, yeah, okay, good.
like
Yeah,
none of these
I don't
other
think
games
that's a
matter.
bad thing.
It's just the finals.
I think they want to invest you like that. So if Team Freedom are my boys that I'm rooting for, I'm going to be following them all the way through. But if Team 8 is the team I want to be watching, I won't necessarily watch up until Team 8 starts playing. And there's nothing wrong with that.
It makes it
Most
easier to
people-
follow.
You
You don't have to spend
most
all day
people
watching.
Don't honestly have time to watch everything. Like, let's just be honest. Like, it's a lot of time to watch every single series of the HGC. The reason they're doing this league format is so that you can pick a team or two, have the schedule, know when they're playing, and then you can watch them on their journey.
Yeah.
If
And
you're hardcore, want to watch everything, good, that's fine, go ahead.
Yeah, but straight
don't be
single or double elimination, I feel like I, in some cases, get to see some of my teams a little bit more. I mean, like if I'm a diehard Gale Force esports fan this past week, that one game was all I could have watched. Whereas, like, if GFE lost this round, but then went down into the losers bracket and had to fight their way back up, I might get some more games in. They might get a chance to redeem themselves. I don't know. I'm just not in love with
your
the
team to
format.
do worse then.
yeah, the most the most important thing about this type of format is it rewards the teams that are consistently good and have a good showing all throughout the season.
I think
And
that's true.
it avoids you having the chances of having an mediocre season, but then just playing out of your mind one tournament, like one day you guys are just clicking. So, which can still happen. You can be the last seed and climb your way
It
up
would
the
be a
ladder.
great story if it did.
Yeah, for sure.
true.
But it's also gonna like
Team Freedom made a good decent run.
They did.
yeah. But if you're third seed or whatever and are having a bad week, you only have to play one game and win that instead of, if things haven't been clicking and practicing, you're not looking at it and going, crap, we have to, win through an 8-team bracket. No, you can just concentrate. Okay, let's pull it together, do our research. We're a good team. We've been playing good all season. Let's make it to the mid-season brawl. So I like it.
Yeah.
All
So I think there's pluses and minuses, of course, to every system. But
Mhm.
like I said, I think most people, you follow a team or two, and I don't think Blizzard expects you to watch everything. That'd be a very lofty expectation to watch everything. That'd be like trying to keep up with 8 basketball teams games,
Yeah, exactly.
which would be a little ridiculous. But some
You
people
just gotta
do
have
it.
8
Some people
TVs,
love it.
man. Just sit
That's
in
right.
the middle of the room.
That's right. So for the midseason brawl, they announced all the talent. Gilly will be there. Tread, Trixler, Caldor, J-Hout, Tetcher, Grubby, and Calaris. Woo!
Yeah.
Good old 1% core Calaris will be there. So that's fun. I enjoy Calaris' commentary. He's a fun dude. So it'll be fun to see him back at the Heroes casting. For the format, the 12 teams at the midseason brawl are going to be split into 2 groups of 6. Each team will play every other team in their group in a 2-game series. A battleground win will be worth 1 point, while winning both battlegrounds will be worth 3 points. The 2 teams with the least amount of points in their group will be eliminated, while the rest will be seeded into a Phoenix bracket so that each team's path through the group stage is crucial. And Phoenix bracket is it's a 2-stage thing. So once you hit this Phoenix bracket after this initial group stage, 4 teams are seeded into the upper bracket and 4 teams are seeded into a lower bracket. The format will reward top performers in the group stage with a shorter path to the championship while offering second chances to the underdogs. So it's going to be harder to move through that bottom section than it is to be able to, move through that top section.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives high performing teams less resistance, but it still allows the lower performing teams to actually get some stuff done.
Yeah,
I like this.
Yeah, so that's it works for this because this is a longer tournament,
right,
as well. So Group A, MVP Black, Fnatic, CE, which is the number 1 seed from China, Team 8, Nomia, which was the kind of surprise Australia New Zealand team, which is really cool, and then Deadly Kittens from C, which Southeast Asia, which is what a great name. And then Group B is the reigning champions of all of Heroes, L5, right now. Team Dignitas, E-Star from China, Tempo Storm from North America, Soul Torturers from Taiwan. It is apparently made up of members formerly of Please Buff Arthas and some of the other stuff. And then Red from Latin America. And this is the J Shroot team featuring some former members of Burning Rage, which you may have heard of before.
Did they change their name because Arthas got buffed?
Potentially. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I'm of the opinion you could still buff him, but anyway, go on.
Yeah. So yeah, more detailed information will be coming out soon, but as I said, make sure that's going to be the next big event after the Crucible is over, and that will be June 10th to the 14th. I said is the round robin stage, and then the double elimination bracket is June 17th through the 19th. $250,000 will be on the line, with $100,000 of it going to the winner. So, some big money up for grabs in this, and we finally get to see where all the regions shape up after the first half of this inaugural league structure season.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yes,
it'll be good.
Absolutely. And again, just make sure and catch that Crucible coming up this weekend.
Hero of the Week.
All right, this week's Hero of the Week, she's the Dorito-eating, Mountain Dew drinking, APM maniac, D.Va. And,
I'm actually drinking Mountain Dew right now in honor of this episode.
I'm jealous.
But yes, of course, latest hero to enter the game. She is Warrior, and we have a build to go over for you guys. And again, this is going to be kind of a good build to take into Quick Match. I'm excited to talk about this because, of course, we test this stuff out and kind of try and come up with something for Quick Match. And TBK and I were discussing
solo queue in general.
Yeah, solo queue. TBK and I were discussing before the show that I have one huge disagreement here on one of the talent tiers, and I'm interested to see his opinions on it. So
I've got a couple minor disagreements too, but I tried this out just before the show specifically, and I didn't mind as much as I thought it would. Anyway,
with this build, minus that one option, me going something else, I am 6-1. So seems to be.
I said, this build is really interesting because you're going to have to shift your D.Va mindset a little bit, but I'll go over that once we kind of hit the stuff up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've kind of already gone over her abilities before, but we'll go real quick here. Again, her combat trait, she's going to have the mech mode and pilot mode. Her mech, if that dies, you pop out in pilot mode just like Overwatch and have another health bar. You then get a timer that your auto attacks decrease by 0.5 seconds each time you attack, and you hop back in your mech. And then guess what? If your mech dies again, your pilot mode D.Va is at full health again. So Each kill.
But in doing so, you do award 50%
Yes.
of the hero's experience upon even the mech dying. So just something to keep in mind. It's not something you can just flippantly let go.
Yes, there's a little too much. There's a little too much flippancy.
Yeah, a lot of murky
that I've
players
seen.
on D.Va.
It adds up very quickly as I found out. If you let your mech die several times, you can it actually becomes a noticeable XP advantage for the enemy.
It does.
So watch it.
But
just be careful.
At the same time, with this build especially, you got to find that balance. There's a good balance there, and you can find it. We have faith. Abilities. Q is booster, 10-second cooldown, increasing movement speed by 125% per 2 seconds. Enemies hit, take 135 damage, and are knocked away. And you cannot be slowed while boosters are active, which is nice. W, defense matrix. Of course, channeling a target field for 3 seconds, reducing the damage dealt by enemy heroes inside by 75%. And again, you cannot be turning while channeling this, but you can move back and forth. Self-destruct on E. We all know what self-destruct is. You throw that sucker out there and let it blow up. Watch it go boom. And this is not a timer. It's based off of damage you are dealing in mech mode and damage you take. And then E is also call mech for whenever you use self-destruct. Heroic ability is bunny hop, where you become unstoppable and stomp every half second, dealing 60 damage and slowing enemies by 40% for 4 seconds. That is not the right cooldown on that website. And big shot.
I believe it's. Yeah, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's.
I think it's 100.
100.
Yeah.
Big shot.
Not positive.
Yeah, in this, you have to be in mech to use it. This next ult, Big Shot, you have to be in pilot mode. It's a 4-second cooldown, that is correct, dealing 250 damage to all enemies in a line. The cooldown of Call Mech is reduced by 8 seconds for each enemy hero hit. All right, so this...
Think of the Big Shot, by the way, as like a smaller
Snipe.
Hinterland Blast.
It's kind of like a... Yeah,
Very similar.
That's true. Or a snipe that goes through...
Yeah, because there's a little delay.
Yeah, which is kind of like Hinterland Blast.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Good point. All right, so this build is kind of compared to like the Never Die, but again, you are technically dying. You're just not like dying.
I would call it more infinite life bars.
There you go. Yeah,
Still.
infinite life bars.
Not the never die and give XP up, but
Yes.
but infinite life bars.
But never actually die and see a death timer.
Yes.
That's the way you want to go.
Yeah, so it's going to be, again, kind of finding a good balance between mech mode and pilot mode here. And you'll kind of see that, and we'll explain as we go through the talents. So, multi for level 1, what are we going with?
Level 1, we are going to go with Hit the Nitrous. And I've played around with actually most of these at this point. And I hadn't... Hit the Nitrous actually was the last one that I did. Full disclosure there. But I don't know if I'm going to pick another because it doesn't seem like much because it's an initial speed boost. It decreases it to 558% and then decays down to a normal boost speed over 0.5 seconds. It's just a little half a second. And then, of course, during that initial time, so if you get it in that first half second, your boosters also deals 170% plus 4% scaling extra damage. So, if you're in the middle of a fight and you're looking to bust your way out, maybe that melee hero right next to you would take a little extra damage. But honestly, it gives you just a little bit more initially. And because of that, lets you go slightly further and can kind of change the way your positioning works, kind of change how you're even maneuvering between the map. Like when you compare it to Rushdown, which I think on big maps is fairly interesting. It's where if D.Va takes neither takes nor deals damage during boosters, its cooldown is lowered by 5 seconds. It's kind of a way to travel around the map. It's certainly nice in its own right, but Hit the Nitrous in a perhaps smaller way kind of does the same thing and with a little extra flash. So
Yeah.
I love it.
And I
What do you
think
guys think?
it lets you kind of be a frontliner for a little bit longer because it is kind of like almost a get out of jail card. You get out of there real quick when you want
Right.
to. So
And helps
Yeah.
you make plays a little bit better. You can wrap around on the enemy team, knock that Morales into yours. Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, it's that's exactly what it is, right? I cannot tell you how many kills I have secured because of this. Not
Oh, yeah.
just because it gets me out faster or gets me in faster to a certain scenario, but that extra damage that you can get in the initial boost can be fairly significant on a low health squishy target. And you can just boom, smack them, they're dead, and get out. So I mean, it's extremely versatile talent with what it allows you to do, and I pick it every time.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
here.
it's also just cooler. I mean, who doesn't want to go faster, right? Just do it.
All right, level 4 here. We're going with Bring It On. Self-destruct's charge amount gained from losing mech's health is increased by 30%. So this just allows you to get self-destruct up more often, which A is always good because you now have 3 abilities up more often instead of 2. And it's a great zoning tool. Again, it's more difficult, but it can be kind of combined with some wombo combos. And plus self-destruct's just a fun thing to kind of use your boosters and throw that sucker out there. So.
And one more thing on top of that, after the self-destruct goes off, you get the call mech back.
Yes.
So it's another way to cycle through your health bars.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a kind of a defensive feature to it. Like if you're about to die in your mech and you have it up and you kind of think, oh, it's in a decent spot where I can do some zoning, you may find yourself in some situations where you just drop it anyway for that reason.
Or, I mean, and even if it's not a situation where it would be great, it's a 3rd health bar.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
and
really
you're
good,
zoning them away as you kind of back up a little bit in pilot mode, and
And worth mentioning, it does not, when you use this, it does not count as half a kill. So feel free to use it.
Yeah. No, I mean the big trick to it, right, is having a self-destruct charge, getting in there and fighting, and then the last second, right before your mech dies, you jump out.
Yep.
Self-destruct, bam, a few seconds later, you got a brand new mech.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the beauty of that too, you can do the same kind of thing when re-entering the mech. You can kind of bait them out, get some auto attacks off, hang out in pilot form. You know that your call mech is up, and then as soon as the butcher starts charging in, man, you just call it back up, and then
well,
you're back.
The good thing about it is, I mean, when you jump out for self-destruct, you're in your pilot form and vulnerable, but people aren't really going to be trying to get you. They're going to be trying to get out of the zone. So it gives you, a couple seconds of chasing them down, getting some free shots off, and then, doing what you need to do to get back in your mech. Okay, TBK.
All right.
Level 7 here.
Okay, so
I don't condone this, chat room.
Okay.
I don't condone
I'm gonna give a lot of credit to Bo Schwartz.
I don't condone this, Bo.
One of the hosts of Core.
I
for
have
kind of turning me on to this specific talent, because up until we had the conversation, I was mostly going for Dazer Zone, which is pretty cool, right? Enemy heroes affected by defense matrix are slowed by 20%. Oh, that's cool. It gives now a slow component and a damage reduction component.
That's what I like.
Cool. Okay. So I like, especially at least for solo queue environment, I like nuclear option.
Let me, before you get into the big reason, I think I know. I want to know if I'm right before you say it.
No. I'll say it first.
No. Because then it's a longer zone.
That was my philosophy. Correct. That was my thought.
Okay, so you increase self-destruct's detonation timer by 3 seconds. So this is now a 7-second detonation timer. Detonation damage is increased by 50%. A new mech can still be called after 4 seconds. So self-destruct.
Yeah.
Self-destruct in Overwatch is a killing move. It's a move that you use to get kills. In Heroes, self-destruct is not a move you use to get kills. It can get kills, but it is not a move that you should expect to get kills from. 4 seconds from a hero's perspective is an extremely long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're basically having to drop it at the start of a mosh pit to get people to get killed. Like pretty much anything else, people will have time to either walk out or walk enough to the edge that they're not going to take hardly any damage at all. So you need to go into playing D.Va with the mindset, I am probably not going to get kills with my self-destruct. And especially in a solo queue, and maybe in a team league environment or in an environment with several other people, you can come up with some sort of a lockdown comp that lets you actually fully take advantage of your self-destruct. And in that case, sure, maybe you don't pick this talent. In a solo queue environment, or even in a duo queue or whatever, Hero League, most likely you are not going to be coordinated enough with your teammates to take advantage of self-destruct's actual damage or killing capabilities. So, what do? What is the other thing self-destruct is good for? It is good for zoning. Okay, so now let's take advantage and enhance that zoning capability. Now we've got this zone. For instead of 4 seconds, we have a 7-second zone. And this is absolutely insane because you're going to be denying a very large area of space for 7 seconds, which is huge, huge in Hero. 4 seconds is huge. 7 seconds is even bigger. And it's going to make the enemy team have to be much more careful because they can't stay around and fight too long lest they get caught inside the explosion because it's been mistimed or whatever. And normally on a self-destruct anyways, people's first reaction is run, get out of it. And so by the time they realize this, it's going to be too late to go back in anyways. And so because of this, I love nuclear option in a solo queue type environment because it allows me to create space for my team for 7 seconds. Plus, it'll up the damage of the explosion. So if anyone does happen to get caught inside of it, you're increasing that damage that you're going to deal to them by 50%, which is huge because explosion already does massive amounts of damage. And so this would give you full time to channel a tribute. This would give you full time to get a huge lead on a temple. This would give you full time to completely zone and destroy a Zerg wave because I need to add self-destruct on a Zerg wave. So good.
Wow.
So very good. Because you can hit everything and almost eliminate that Zerg wave just by yourself. It's absolutely silly. But Heroes of the Storm is an objective-based game. And almost every map has some sort of control or zone point. So why would you not want to give yours with a move that we've already established is not going to be very good for killing people anyways, unless you build a very specific comp around it? Why not give yourself that much more of an advantage and zoning option with this extremely large zoning tool?
Okay.
One correction, though. In Overwatch, the self-destruct is largely used as a zoning tool as well. Mm-hmm. In fact, sometimes it's easier to dodge in that game because you can just stand behind a light pole.
I'm going to change from not condoning to situational because while I think it's gonna, for me, would depend largely on map and enemy team comp because say for
I personally take it in. I take this now in every situation that I am not with a team comp that can support me actually making use of my self-destruct damage.
Well, my reasons for situational are maps like Sky Temple or maps with like 2 bosses. It's great for zoning where you're just having to stand on something. Things where you're having to channel still. 7 seconds, yes, that's a long time. Your placement of this would have to be flawless, and even then 7 seconds is long enough time for a Vala to get in there.
You're considering this by alone, because this is this is not in a vacuum. This is a large 7-second area of denial with most likely your team around to create space for you as well. So not only is this explosion creating space, your team's creating space, and if your team's not there, you probably weren't going to get whatever it is in.
Well, that's going off if we're going off the quick match assumption of your team's not going to be able to help you out, you have to be assuming maybe your team is not going to be zoning perfectly in sync with this either. Because a Vala or something has time to get in, on a curse, shoot through the wall to interrupt and volt out, things like that. The reason I still like not get through this. Danger Zone is it's a peeling tool for me. I've saved multiple people with this. You know, if the knockback just wasn't enough, if it's a hero with speed, being able to get in front, throw this down, it makes it super easy for me to body block and then my teammate escape, and it's on a much shorter cooldown. But
You're missing one thing though.
Okay.
I was just going to say, if your knockback wasn't enough, then double it with coming through, which is actually pretty sweet too, where the knockback distance of boosters is increased by 100%.
Yeah. And I do go that sometimes actually as well. But yeah, so I don't hit nuclear option as much. I'm going to change to this is a situational tier. I think there's some good talents here.
It's definitely awkward, at least in the sense that you're increasing the damage, but also the timer, and thus greatly decreasing the chances of anyone taking damage from it. But you did kind of sell me on that Braxis example. I definitely want to try this out there just to wipe the wave and see exactly how well that goes. Yeah. But yeah, I'm with Gizmo on the situational point, but I mean, denying that much space for that much time does make some sense. And also the fact that at level 7, you can kind of surprise your opponents with it. I can see that being interesting. Like they kind of have their brain around 4 seconds, but then to see it last any longer could kind of throw them off mid-game.
Sure. And all it does is stack with your level 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because that just means you have a longer area of denial more often. Yeah, right. Which helps as well.
Yeah. In Braxis is one where I would potentially pick this up as well because it is, platform zoning. So I'll
that too, yeah.
I'll give you some on that. Gorath. Okay. Level 10 here.
Yeah, hopefully he I did it justice for him.
I think you did.
I really like it a lot.
Level 10 here, going with Big Shot. So this is going to be the pilot mode ult. And this one is kind of where you start getting the, well, I guess not really.
Infinite life bars.
Yeah, infinite life bars and a lot of decent damage while you're out as well. So if you didn't use, your self-destruct and to be in pilot mode to where you have your mech instantly back up, this is something to where, again, you should be able to kind of get away if you're paying attention to a bad spot in dying with hit the nitrous, but it could still potentially take some range damage or something. And now you're hopping out of your mech, stay in the back line. Big Shot is 4-second cooldown. Again, it goes through all enemies. Each enemy you hit, that's reducing it by 8 seconds, your cooldown for mech. And it does quite a bit of decent damage, too.
It's got a decent range.
And it's really good for, taking down bosses. It's good for battlegrounds. It's good for infernal shrines. It's good for a lot of things.
It's good for anything that needs damage against it.
That's
because it's only a 4-second cooldown.
Yep.
Except the one drawback is if you're having a really good game and you're actually spending most of the game in your suit, in part because you're not crazy and just insanely diving their backline every time and that sort of thing, you can have games where you don't get a ton of value out of pilot mode in general.
Yeah.
Of course, this gets you back into the mech a little bit quicker too, which is nice. But I've had games where I've taken Big Shot, but then maybe shot it like 4 times the entire match because maybe I didn't have my mech die and I did our little, self-destruct trick. Maybe I got a shot off before I got back in my suit, but that was it. So, it is possible to not get a ton of. Yes, well, then it was a really good match. Yeah, good point. Okay, fine. But I could have had an even better match with Bunny Hop.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
could have.
I understand what you're saying. I did have a Battlefield of Eternity match to where we lost when I took this, and my freaking healer, like when it came to the immortal races and stuff, like I was standing and stuff trying to get out, and every time I would almost die, my freaking healer would heal me. I'm like, stop it. It's like, let me out so I can damage this thing because we didn't have a lot of damage on our team. We needed it because she is nuts at that, and it was a long match. It was a short match, but it felt very long.
Yeah, you touched on the Immortals, though. There's an example of where pilot mode is awesome. Like her single target damage in pilot mode, especially with the talent that we'll talk about later on here, is actually pretty insane. I had an Immortals game where I was the only one down at ours, and there were a couple deaths on either side, right? But I was in mech form. I self-destructed on top of it, and then just started autoing and started doing the big shot as well, and just wrecked my way through that immortal. So yeah, just a thought.
Yeah, very
someone mentioned it
strong.
in chat there as well.
Yeah, and that's a good point. On that map, it's good to save your self-destruct for that, but there was a situation that called for me having to use it, so it wasn't going to be up.
Yeah. I get you.
Level 13, Multi, what are we going with?
13, we are going to go with ablative armor. I'm pronouncing that right? Ablative?
Ablative. Yeah.
Ablative. Either way, so damage against D.Va's mech that would deal 5% and then scaling or less of its maximum health are reduced by 50%. So, and this does not, this does not decrease the amount of self-destruct charge gained. So you still get the same charge, you're just taking less damage. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this should stack with your defense matrix, right? Like whoever you're reducing there is damaging you even less than that 75%.
Yeah, if the attacks made while in defense matrix would do less than 5% of your health, then yes, they would be reduced again as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so something that would have done 4% is now doing 2. Again, just making you all the tankier.
Yeah.
And this is insane too, because from what I've read, this is the only thing in the game, as far as I know. I could be wrong. But there's not much, if any, other things in the game that can actually reduce percentage damage. This is absolutely insane that this actually will reduce percentage damage, because so like Tychus's minigun, if you do like 2 or 3% of health, that's less than 5%.
Mm-hmm.
That gets reduced. It's crazy. Pretty much all auto attacks are going to be less than 5% damage, and that means that you basically got an always on block for auto attacks.
Technically.
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
And that is something you wouldn't
necessarily
think about just from reading. If I will say this tier for me is kind of situational. A blade of armor, if my game's going correctly, this is what I absolutely want to go. However, if I'm having a match where I'm getting stunned or something and I'm not able to get out of team fights with my hit the nitrous, and therefore I'm coming out in pilot mode and dying, sometimes I will go with emergency shielding. And that is just to give me a little bit more time to get some safe positioning. At the same time, though, that can make it harder to get in your pilot form. So you really are just going to have to judge how your game's going. But that is when the mech would be destroyed. You instead gain a shield that absorbs 209 damage over 6 seconds. So
yeah, a blade of armor just basically adds to that feeling of indestructibility to you and gives you more of a chance to get that self-destruct charge so that you can exit your mech on your own terms rather than someone killing you out of it.
Yeah.
Because ideally, every time you exit the mech, you want to be doing it with a self-destruct. Ideally.
Oh, so I linked it in the chat here. Ablative.
Ablative.
I just YouTubed it. There's a YouTube for every word now. It's super weird. Like, who took the time to do that?
I challenge you to find a word that's not there.
I like this. Ablative.
Oh, I'll put some words in there.
Challenge you to find a word that's not there. All right. TBK, level 16.
So level 16, I feel is a little more situational for sure. I've started, especially if I'm being targeted a lot, Nano Weave Suit. And this is a pretty sweet talent. So for 4 seconds after ejecting from her mech, D.Va gains 50 armor, and her basic attacks grant 50% more cooldown reduction towards call mech. And so this is kind of your anti-gank mechanic. If you're against an enemy team that can put a lot of damage onto you quickly after your mech gets destroyed, or stun you, or is ready to jump on you when you jump out for self-destruct or something like that, this can easily mean the difference between living or dying. Now you're taking 50% reduced damage. And a lot of times this will allow you to survive the initial burst or the initial stun or whatever and give you more of a chance to get away. Plus, if you don't have somebody after you, and you just exit or you just blow up and you can just continue attacking right away, it will give you more cooldown reduction for those 4 seconds towards getting your call mech back if it was a mech destroyed. The other one that can be extremely good is GG well played, or GGWP. And I know a lot of people like this because this increases pilot mode basic attack damage by 75%, which is insane. Absolutely insane, because
considering it's already good.
It's already really good. And then if you participated in a takedown while in pilot mode, it'll instantly refresh the cooldown of your call mech. So if you're feeling pretty safe and the enemy team doesn't have a lot that can gank you or burst you down when you get out, if you're on Battlefield of Eternity, especially stuff like that, and you feel just a little bit safer, then this is an extremely, extremely good talent, because it will up your single target damage for whatever objective you might be on for the current map. Sometimes after I get this, I will stay in pilot mode a lot longer than I need to, just because if they don't have anybody that can dive you or burst you, you can kind of hover in the back line a little bit and put out damage with that E button, to get your mech back, just kind of as a last resort or get out of jail card. Remember, there is a small period of time when you call mech that you can stun her out of it. Or so you have to be careful about that.
Right. So, something else you have to be careful about when you're calling down your mech. If you have an Ariel on your team, if she Crystal Aegises you during that little animation, it cancels the mech and puts it on a 4-second cooldown.
Oh, but just 4 seconds, even though that's a long time.
I died twice in one game because obviously I was almost dead, so that's why I was casting it. And now instead
so
I come out.
Or?
No, I don't know.
No, I mean, it's Ariel play. Be like, crap, person about to die.
Yeah, after the second time, I was like, please don't do that. Like if I die, it's my own fault. But because then
something you gotta communicate.
Then I come out and it's just one shot instead death for me. So watch out for that. That's a weird
both those
thing.
Talents definitely have their place depending on the team comp you're against or depending on the map.
Yep, and one of the other beauties of GGWP is, again, I mean, just the surprising amount of damage you're doing. You are a tank melter at this point. Like, it's a flat-out tank melter. A lot of damage. And you can kind of surprise people just simply with that. And in that reverse scenario I was talking about, where if you know that you're able to dodge stuns and that sort of thing, and you're baiting them into, like, you know your call mech is up, you're in pilot form, you're getting some big shots off, and you're auto-attacking some. That same duel I talked about earlier with the Butcher charging in, you could maybe even just let him get a couple hits off on you, and you are getting him to half health before you're getting back at that mech. So it's just that plus the extra just environmental damage you can do with it. I love GGWP. I don't pick the other one.
I'm calling a nerf on that. Calling a nerf on the GGWP. Nerf this.
Yeah, I was about to say, that'll be ironic, right? Because they actually will nerf this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. I freaking love it. Level 20 here. We're going with Pew Pew Pew. And this is going to make your big shot, instead of a single shot, big shot's going to fire 3 shots over half a second, each shot dealing 50% damage. So this is kind of interesting because, especially if you go GGWP, what this is going to do, this is going to make it not something that is a burst damage, because you actually do almost exactly the same amount of damage just from your auto attacks now. But what it is going to do is reset your call down mech faster.
Super quick.
Super fast.
Oh, yeah.
As someone in chat was saying, if you combine this with Nano Weave Suit, which gives you that extra 50 armor, and you have people coming at you, and it allows you to survive the initial burst, you can hit 2 or 3 people 2 or 3 times and bam, instantly get that mech back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a good combo.
So I go this 90% of the time, but I can see this one being a situational one for in game, like especially if it's Battlefield of Eternity or something, you're still wanting that big shot for that damage there. Then I don't know. I haven't actually picked Mecha Fall. but
I haven't either.
So does that? It's
tried, but
call mech is instant and can target a location upon landing. Mech deals 202 damage to enemies in the impact area. Does that just mean you teleport to the area? So it's kind of like a little blink.
Pretty much. It's pretty much a little blink. It's not a huge area, but it takes away that small cast animation you need to get into your mech, which is kind of cool. The teleport's pretty sweet, and it does a little area of effect damage. It's cool. Yeah. It's not a bad thing. I've taken it on occasion when I needed a little more mobility or want to create better positioning for myself.
Yeah. Is it like Li Ming teleport or tracer dash?
Yeah. What's the size?
It's probably, if I remember correctly, it's probably the size of the upgraded Li Ming teleport.
Okay, so that's bigger.
Or somewhere-ish in there. It's not huge, but it's noticeable.
Yeah, that's that could be useful for like needing like to secure like an in-game enemy boss, if you know they're gonna get it and you're getting there just in time, and you're in pilot
or just
mode,
as another
throw that
engage
sucker
tool.
in there, and you know, different things.
Yeah, it's not amazing, but it's somewhere in the Li Ming or slightly more teleport-ish range.
So last thoughts for this build. For me, again, I'm just going to reiterate, finding the balance between pilot mode, mech mode. It's going to vary map to map, but as TBK said, you kind of want anytime you're in pilot mode to be on your own terms. I have had matches to where we've had, me intentionally dying sometimes in team fights helped lead to us winning the team fight, but that was in, double tank and sometimes triple tank situations, which was awkward. So it can call for it sometimes, but for the most part, you want it to be on your own terms. And find the balance. Find the balance in the Force.
I dig it.
TBK?
Yeah, you're as D.Va. D.Va's not a main tank. Not at all. She's a bruiser. And they even say as much kind of in the in the little spotlight video. Your job while in mech mode is not necessarily to do damage. You have decent wave clear while in mech mode. But your main job in mech mode is to be as annoying and disruptive as possible, to soak as much damage as you can, and then have that self-destruct. You want to use self-destruct pretty much in two situations. You want to have a self-destruct ready for team fights, and you want to have a self-destruct ready for objectives. And those are the main two times that you want to have it ready to go. If you have it in team fights, you can take all the damage, just be annoying, get in there, use your boosters, knock people around, and then hit your self-destruct right before your mech dies. And then boom, a few seconds later, you got a brand fresh spanking new mech back, and you can go be annoying again. Mm-hmm. And you are on a zone point. You can zone for 4 or 7 seconds, do your thing, potentially do some damage if you can lock someone down in it, and then bam, you got your mech back. It's all about making sure you use your self-destruct at the right times. And like Gizmo said, making sure that you leave the mech on your terms rather than someone forcing you to it.
Like I said, like you said.
Yes, like you said, like you just said that I said.
Right.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
It is. So my tips are all related to auto-attacking as a mech, because it's something we didn't really touch on too much previously, but it's the same kind of feature that you get with some of these other Overwatch heroes, think Tracer and that sort of thing, where, it's not like you're stutter stepping or anything. When you hone in on a target, you get a little cone of short-range splashy shots that you get off on them, and it just sticks with it until those targets pretty much die, or you just get out of range. And there is a very small range on this. They're trying to simulate what it's like to feel, or what it feels like rather, to play as D.Va in Overwatch, which I think they've done perfectly, because in Overwatch, if you're just hanging back across an entire map firing at those cannons, anyone who's played her on their nose, you're just not really doing anything. So they've done a good job of simulating it there, and in general, I think the kit overall is a great port coming over, even with the 2 new heroic abilities. But okay, so when it comes to auto attacking, there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. Of course, you are trying to watch where your box is, and you can affect your own wave clear and jungle clear based on who you're even barely just entering in that box. And you got to watch it for sure. One trick I've come across that's actually really interesting, when you are walking up to a lane and there's a line of minions walking at you, you can actually step up to them, maybe let them crowd around you for a little bit, and as you're auto-attacking, back up. So D.Va herself is backpedaling through this process, and they are walking with you, doing no damage to you, and you're just hosing the entire line. So kind of one of those small things you can function on. But I mean, I would argue, yes, TBK was correct that a lot of the mech play is getting in there and being annoying and jumping around and knock people around. But I mean, the damage portion of it is there too. It's part of what charges your self-destruct. It's part of what just gets you those cool damage numbers at the ends of the game, right? So it is something you do need to focus on just across the board. And man, it's just, I love how smooth it feels with the auto attacking. And I don't know, I love even the animation of how when you snap between different targets, she does that really robotic just jerk of the upper body of the mech. And like, I don't know. Honestly, everything we've talked about, my favorite thing about her is auto attacking in the mech form.
I actually want to kind of build on that, and sorry if I repeat something. I was siphoning through some of the emails here.
Oh, it's all good.
That, and I think we touched on it last week. I don't think we confirmed, but we had thought when you do target something, it puts it in the middle of that range. So it's not going to attack from the furthest point possible. And then I have found very useful for repositioning, instead of clicking to move, just hold and kind of drag, and you can position yourself super easy as to where, to get max minions in that area.
I see what you mean. Like, as you're moving, you're not clicking the spot on the map. You're just
you click and hold,
dragging.
And
yeah.
You can pivot really easy doing that.
Then it's smooth.
Yeah,
exactly. Mm-hmm.
So try her out. She is super strong right now. Super strong. And like I said, I've had a lot of luck with this build, so it's a good one. And she's fun. I like her more than I thought I was going to, which is a good thing. All right, TBK, what do you got for community content this week?
So real quick, Con Before the Storm 2017, the convention, like big fan convention that takes place the night before BlizzCon. Just a few days left in their Kickstarter. They've hit their initial goal. They've hit their $16,500 goal, which they will be hosting the TV and Frog Pants meetup. So if you've ever been to those will now be a part of the Con Before the Storm, which is really cool. They also host World of Podcasts, which two of us, or actually all of us, have participated in one way or another at some point, which is really cool. And then they're getting extremely close to their $19,000 goal, which will allow for them to get one of the big ballrooms at the Hilton. So definitely check them out if you're going to BlizzCon. It's a really, really fun fan convention. Highly recommend it. And a lot of good people running that. And it'd be cool to see them get that other stretch goal.
Yeah.
Before the 5 days is up. So definitely go check that out. We'll have a link in the show notes. And then
not
finally,
that far off either.
No, it's really pretty close.
Yeah.
And then finally, I just had to shout this out because I saw it on Reddit, and it was super nostalgic. And I wasn't at this BlizzCon, but Ponister.
This was 2013.
13, yeah.
13, yes. Ponister had linked a video to the unveiling of the original Heroes of the Storm cinematic. The one where, Nova and Raynor and Diablo and Tyrael and Kerrigan are all fighting. And the crowd reaction and Dustin Browder getting introduced and stuff. And I got super nostalgic. And it's just a really cool video. And it's like one of those, man, I wish I was there live type moments.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I definitely got chills watching
so
it
hype.
too.
Yeah, it's just so hype. So that'll be in the show notes as well if you want to check that out and kind of experience what the original reaction was to the really cool cinematic that they released at the beginning.
Yeah,
And just think, looking back that far, we just got that Primeval Diablo skin.
Exactly.
yeah, this was the
Took a
first
while.
BlizzCon I watched. I got the virtual ticket and
Oh, yeah.
decided I was going the next year, and I've been ever since. So it's a good video. All right, and finally we have here some listener questions. Once again, we're not gonna be able to get through all of these, but I do want to hit on Draven's here multi and
The first one, at least?
and the second one. We can do the second one.
Okay, sure. And then do we want to do the reuse recycle email?
I don't think we have time for that today.
Okay, fair enough. So reuse recycle, we're hitting you up for sure. It's definitely a really good idea, and we
Yes.
want to hit it up, but just bear with us here with the time. So okay, this one we have been putting off for some time though. Draven Dresden wrote in, just simply, what's your favorite D.Va quote? And hey, it's D.Va week, so let's do it now. Mine personally, and he did link a YouTube video to all of the quotes, which is always interesting. But so mine was kind of, we alluded to this earlier, where she says something along the lines of, I know I say nerf this a lot, but I don't really want you to nerf this. Like, and again, I'm going to be the first guy to make the cheesy joke when a nerf comes of, oh, well, I guess you get what you asked for, derp-a-der. So just look forward to that, probably with the GGWP talent. What'd you guys think there?
Mine is just her repeating the Raven Lord's talent. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
generous. And then her little giggle afterwards. That was cute. She has, in my opinion, the best voice lines so far.
Oh, no
in the
question.
game.
Oh, easy.
So it was a hard one to pick from.
Yeah, it really was.
That's a good
I
one.
like the one where she kills Nova and goes, number one player killer.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Such a good job.
Good, such good lines, and I like all of her. Like, oh, there's a StarCraft hero in this match. No one's ever gonna believe this. Like, they're so cute. They're so cute.
Right.
Okay, and his second part of the question, because this is relevant for sure, at least this week.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Draven Dresden writes, question for the show, which, by the way, you wrote it in the show questions channel, so we know it's a question for the show, but thanks for clarifying.
So that's
Anyway, so Draven writes,
yes, okay.
yes, yeah. So Heroes launched June 2nd, 2015. Given that the next hero should be June 5th, do you think Blizzard has something special in mind for said hero, such as perhaps a certain spiky metal chin? Or perhaps a well-known Warcraft demon to coincide with the 7.2.5 release. So, this is an interesting point because we are also right now celebrating the Overwatch 1-year anniversary in this case.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a whole bunch of stuff coming out for that. So if you haven't checked that out, listen to the Cavalry this week. But anyway, my point is, I could see them doing something special. And the other interesting thing about this next hero, whoever it is that it's the first one that's kind of out of this rotation that we've had with the hype around 2.0, around Hanamura. D.Va was kind of the last one. She was announced in the video, of course, the cinematic. So, I mean, I think that we're probably off at least the Overwatch train. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that one. And this one honestly could be anything, but I'm with you, Draven. I think it could be something special. I don't know Deathwing necessarily. That seems more like a BlizzCon announcement, but I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
We know Ryan wants Deathwing.
Yeah.
I like I said, I am completely okay with any of the dragon
Okay.
aspects. I'll take Ysera, I'll take Alexstrasza, I'll take Malagos, I'll take Deathwing. I'm not dragonist.
What about
very
Onyxia
open.
or Nefarian? Does it have to be an
Sure,
aspect? Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
No, I mean it's a legitimate large dragon.
Nefarian would be so cool.
I just want a dragon, and I want it to be large. That's all
Yeah.
I want.
That's
I
all.
just want a
Large
dragon
dragon.
in actual dragon form.
I mean, you
not
can
a
shrink
gnome.
it down for the map, but I want it to be its large.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Asmodean's shrunk down. Ragnaros has shrunk down. You can do it. It's just
Yeah.
make it the largest size that Heroes does, and I'll just roll with it.
A
No big deal.
hero-sized dragon. That's all we want.
Right.
Just a hero-sized
Make it really though as large as possible. Like we're talking half a
Just-
lane.
just give it a cool move like Ragnaros that lets you do bigger things.
It just needs to be something that you sit in your base and you're big enough to where all your abilities are technically globals. You don't have to move.
So Abathur.
And no one can hit you or kill you because you're so big.
Basically, I just want a Dwagon. Give me Dwagons, please. Blizzard. Dwagons.
Honestly, it would be cool to have a dragon. I'm not like on the oh my gosh, that one's so bad. Like it'd be cool. But yeah, I don't know. This is as I say this, tomorrow, whoever the guy is that leaks everything is gonna find something and leak it. But we haven't had anything leaked yet, so I like that. I guess Probius was a surprise. So.
Oh yeah, total surprise.
So
Yeah,
I'm down for another surprise, whatever it is. I'm predicting a Warcraft hero though. It's my prediction.
Well, we haven't had a Warcraft hero for like 5 heroes, so.
Which is rare.
It's just very rare. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we went back to a Warcraft hero at some point. There's a few possibilities. I think. I mean, I would like to see another support. Honestly, because we just don't get that many supports. Lucio was our last support, and he's a lot of fun, but there's just not that many supports. I would love to see another legitimate tank, like a solo tank type thing, because we've gotten a lot of bruisers lately, but it's been a long time since we've had a legitimate solo tank come out. So that would be pretty cool. And then finally, maybe I don't know. I can't even remember what I was going to say. It's gonna be interesting. Oh, multi-class.
Yeah,
another multi-class.
6 months. 6 months since Varian came out. That's quite a while.
Wow.
And they made a whole multi-class subsection just for him.
Right.
And I know we're not going to be getting multi-class near as often because of the myriad of potential issues they create. But
you're basically balancing 3 characters within one. But yeah.
Or 2 characters.
Or yeah, right.
But sure, it multi-class inherently have some issues. But 6 months is a while for them to only have one type of class, and one multi-class a year seems super droughty as far as multi-class go.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one multi-class every 6 or 8 months maybe is fine. So I think we're coming up on a point where, okay, I'd like to see another multi-class, another I mean, WoW class comes to mind, right? That's the most obvious multi-class that you could do. And going with all my other stuff, I'm going to say I'd love to see a WoW priest.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I get my heals at the same time.
Yeah.
And you could also make him a space goat, because that is the only race we're missing right now. We don't have any Draenei.
Prophet Velen is a space goat priest, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, or Uriel.
You know it's going to be Anduin though.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Anduin. That's fine, but I'm just saying that if you want to knock out a ton of stuff, let's knock out the multi-class, let's knock out the healer, let's knock out the priest, and let's knock out the last race playable race from WoW that we don't have. There you go.
Is it the last class from WoW that we don't really have either? No, we don't. I'm trying to think. Well, Miranda's kind of a priest. She's like a priest hunter thing.
You could
technically a monk from WoW. They are different. A monk could be a multi-class. A WoW
sure,
monk.
There's a lot you could argue about, but at least from a race perspective, the Draenei are the only race that are represented. Mm-hmm.
Very true. Real quick, you just reminded me of this by mentioning multi-class potential issues. And this has to do with D.Va. They need to do something to adjust the weights for MVP with D.Va.
Yeah.
Because I was getting MVP on games that I was not dying on my terms and had 6 deaths, which means I had 12. Even though it wasn't necessarily me dying and still getting MVP, and no one voted for me. You were trash. You don't get MVP. I was like, I agree. I agree.
It's easy to get top damage received on her, for sure.
So something needs to be changed there. But again, we do have some more questions. I know I got one on Twitter and stuff we want to get to, but this is officially, I think, our longest episode ever. And there wasn't even patch notes.
Nope. Imagine if there were.
Oh my
We would have had
gosh.
to cut half of it.
Yeah, so apologies.
We love you guys.
And you're welcome.
We don't apologize for anything.
No, never.
Nothing.
I don't know. But
It's all gold. At least 75% of it.
yeah, I don't know. That's
gold.
gonna do it. That's gonna do it for this one here, Multi.
Okay, I'll
Where
pop
can-
this off
where
quick
can we be
then.
reached?
Okay. So you can find us in game by typing /join space LOTS or in our Discord, stick at the top of our Twitter at Lords of the Storm. We're on twitch.tv /Lords of the Storm live Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Central. We're also on facebook.com /Lords of the Storm podcast. You can email us with feedback or questions, Lords of the Storm at outlook.com. If you want to help with the show, 2 ways to do it. Leave a positive review or go to our patreon.com /Lords of the Storm where you can give any amount that you deem appropriate. We appreciate all of you who have so far and all who will in the future. And I dragged it out at the end there.
Does anyone have the new review up by any chance? Dang it! I know we had one.
It says fun and interesting.
I don't.
There you go.
We'll give a shout out to
appreciate
who it was last week. I forgot to put it in the show notes.
Yes.
You can also
Appreciate it, though.
find us individually. I'm on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all the things at Gizmo Zord, as well as Convert Trade Presents. Occasionally, which is Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central, and unfortunately wasn't on this week because of the poop house problems. House full of smelly poop.
Happens.
Poop. Multi, where can you be reached?
I'm on Twitter at Multizord, and I'm also on occasionally the Cavalry, a show about Overwatch. I'm not on this week, and if you were looking at your feeds, don't panic. They are getting to it. I know they were intending to record tonight, but then ran into some scheduling issues between Slambo and Tankzord. So, so just check it out. Should be coming out soon. This week's The Cavalry Show, talking all about the new stuff coming with, the Overwatch anniversary event. So, fun things.
TBK?
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord and twitch.tv /TBKZord, where I stream hero stuff occasionally.
Yep. Occasionally. That's going to do it. We want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Sword, for helping support the show. And I'm tired, and I just realized I kind of made it sound like I pooped my pants or something yesterday, and that didn't. There was plumbing issues. I just want to clarify. Gizmo did not. I did not poop the pants. There was no pooping in the pants. I'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Wednesday, 10 p.m. Central. Have a good one.
No, it's 9 p.m. Central. What are you doing?
Enough. I shall do no more.
There was no pants pooping happening.
I'm glad you clarified at the end there, TBK.
What did you say? I couldn't
That was,
hear.
that was
I-